Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. When Order 66 occurred, not every clone trooper gritted his teeth and tried to fight the urge to shoot their commanding Jedi officer in the back of the head. For some, the chip wasn't even necessary. They had been thinking about this moment for quite some time. After all, the Jedi weren't exactly perfect, and many of them made terrible commanding officers. And so today we'll be taking a look at some clones who really hated the Jedi and most likely would have enjoyed Order 66. In Legends, there used to be a clone named Alpha 17. He was basically one of the earlier Special Forces clones who saw quite a lot of action alongside the likes of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Some say that the creators of the Clone Wars TV show originally wanted to make him into a Captain Rex-like character. Alpha would create the Advanced Recon Commando program, which would train some of the most famous clones in the Star Wars universe, including Commander Cody of the 212th and Captain Rex of the 501st. Amongst them was another clone named Commander Faye. Commander Faye served under Jedi General Obo Rancisis, a very conservative Jedi known for his battle meditation skills. He also served under Quinlan Vos, the chaotic Jedi who happened to also view clones as soulless killing machines. Commander Faye was kind of this no-nonsense, by-the-book type of clone trooper. He really liked protocol, and that usually put him at odds with Jedi Master Opal Rancisis, who followed the more traditional Jedi way of warfare. Unlike many of the Jedi in the war, Opal Rancisis was actually a skilled tactician and commander, but he also had a soft spot for civilians and oftentimes inconvenienced the military to make sure they were taken care of first. Quinlan Vos, on the other hand, treated clone Commander Faye with very little respect. During the Battle of Kashyyyk, Commander Faye was placed in charge of the 41st Elite Squadron after Commander Gree was killed by Yoda during an Order 66 attempt. After Order 66, Faye would eagerly pursue two Jedi, Master Luminara and the hated Quinlan Vos, who were both on the planets. He eventually would track Quinlan Vos down and threaten to kill him with orbital bombardment. An action that would have endangered Commander Faye along with the innocent Wookiee village that was nearby. This enraged Quinlan Vos and put an end to Commander Faye. Most clone commandos hated the Jedi for one specific reason: the Battle of Geonosis. The clone commandos were designed for raids behind enemy lines. They packed a ton of firepower and worked well in teams. If they had proper cover and knowledge of the layout of an area, they could hold off an enemy force much larger than them for an extended period of time. Heck, their Katarn armor in Legends even had deflector shields on it. But the Jedi commanders didn't really understand the commando's role on the battlefield when they were shoved the responsibility of leading the Grand Army of the Republic into battle. And so instead of deploying them to sabotage key installations and defenses, all 10,000 clone commandos in the Special Operations Brigade were used as cannon fodder on the massive plains of Geonosis. More than 50% of their numbers were killed that day. That represents not only a huge blow to the Republic commandos, but also to the Republic Special Operations abilities. It should be mentioned that in Legends, a good percentage of these clone commandos, maybe around 65 to 70%, were trained by the Mandalorians. While these trainers did keep things professional, aka they didn't kill Jedi commanders working in the JR on site with flamethrowers, they did have a very unique historical and cultural hatred for the Jedi that is only surpassed maybe by the Sith or one of the many other species that the Jedi genocided in the history of the Republic. And I'm pretty sure the Mandalorian trainers passed down some of their cultural hatred to the commandos as well. On top of that, Mandalorian culture and honor doesn't really mesh all that well with the Jedi culture, so it's not surprising that after Order 66 was carried out, Imperial clone commando teams were usually the ones sent after the remaining fugitive Jedi. Now, if we are going to pick one specific clone commander who really has a lot of hatred for the Jedi, it would be RC-1136, otherwise known as Darman. He was placed in Omega Squad after the Battle of Geonosis. His other three team members were all lone survivors from their own squads. The legendary Mandalorian mercenary Cal Skirata would adopt Omega Squad as his own. Darman would be sent on a mission with a young and not-so-skilled Jedi named Yatain Termukin. Darman and Yatain would eventually develop a pretty serious relationship that was neither fitting of a clone or a Jedi. Eventually, Yatain Termukin has a child with Darman, and before the two can run away from the Republic and the Jedi Order along with Cal Skirata to Mandalore, disaster strikes. Order 66 happens, and ironically, Etain Turmucken is struck down by a young Jedi Padawan who was trying to kill a clone. All Etain was trying to do was to prevent this violence from being carried out between the Jedi and the clone. At the same time, during this battle, Darman's squadmate Niner is hurt by another Jedi Padawan and breaks his back. Darman chooses to stay behind with his buddy so he doesn't get euthanized. Darman would remain trapped in the Empire and become an Imperial commando. During this time period, he would hunt down Jedi. In his mind, he believed that every Jedi he killed was one Jedi less that could kidnap his Force-sensitive son. Sgt Slick was one in a million. By the first few months of the war, he was already aware of how unfair the clone trooper situation was. Despite all of the genetic modifications and conditioning Sgt Slick had, he realized that the clones were slaves. At the same time, he also realized that the Jedi were completely incompetent as commanders and complicit in the oppression of his people. And so during the Battle of Christophsis, Slick would become a mole for the Separatist Alliance and pass key Republic troop movements and logistical information to Asajj Ventress. This leads to an ambush planned by Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. When Slick is finally uncovered as the mole, he explains that he didn't betray the Republic for money. He did it to free the clones from the oppression of the Jedi. Slick would be arrested shortly after. I figure he probably was turned into protein paste in the weeks that followed. I mean, some clones really like to follow orders. This was probably a side effect of the modification the Kaminoans gave them. During the disastrous Umbaran campaign, the 501st was led into one tough situation after another by Jedi General Pong Krell. Many members of the 501st could sense that General Krell did not care about his clone troopers. Some suggested that he was even purposely trying to get them killed. A great number of the 501st soldiers began complaining and even discussing mutiny against the Jedi Commander. Dogma, however, constantly defended the actions of General Pong Krell and was sort of a teacher's pet to him. When Fives, Hardcase, and Jesse steal a bunch of Umbaran ships against Pong Krell's orders, but then successfully destroys a Separatist battleship in orbit, Pong Krell orders for the clones to be executed. Dogma takes lead on this small task, perhaps because he really enjoys following orders, or perhaps because no one else wants to condemn his fellow brothers to death. Ultimately, Dogma would be shocked when it was revealed that Pong Krell had betrayed the 501st. Dogma was so upset by how much he was manipulated that he ends up shooting Pong Krell while he's in custody. So there you have it, guys. Those are 5 clones who I don't really think needed inhibitor chips. They would have happily carried out Order 66 if given the opportunity. Let me know in the comment section below if I've missed any other clones. There might be a few out there that we still have not talked about. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.